Coach, you were excited to get to see your team against another team. What were your high-level takeaways from the first game?
Yeah, I thought the guys handled game one well. It was good to see the group play complementary football. We dominated in a lot of the big play categories on both sides of the football. Played a pretty disciplined game, a pretty clean game. I thought we tackled pretty well. We're able to get out of some tackles and create some big explosive plays down the field offensively. And so, yeah, it was good. It was a good start. It was great to be able to play a lot of different guys on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think the value for some of these guys getting their first real experience in the Coliseum. A lot of these guys first time playing college football. A chance for us as a staff to evaluate kind of all of these guys when you get them in that game atmosphere is great. And these guys know from doing it, it's also just great for the locker room. Like, it's great for all these different guys to be able to play. It's a long season, and there's the scout teams, and there's the developmental group that's also going on while the season's happening, and everybody's going to see the guys that play on Saturdays, but you don't see this other part that is vital to having a championship football team. So for those guys to get that opportunity is just it's really cool for I think just morale, and it's always good when you get one like that.
Yeah, and you can see the guys on the team how excited they are for the guys. They don't get those opportunities. You saw Jaden over there, excited for Longstreet. Some of the defensive guys with that interception. So that's great to see that, Coach. When you're trying to eval this kind of game with the coaches, is it tough because it's not only a first game, you don't know how good your opponent's going to be or what would they go, but you kind of overmatch them a little bit. What's the evaluation process when you go against a team in the first game?
Yeah, I think one like that where you got a distinct talent advantage, I think you're really looking at just how did we execute, not necessarily based on the other player, but did we communicate well? Did we line up well? Were our fundamentals where they needed to be? We had some plays in the game where, we made it work because, we had a better player than them at that point, but against better players, we'll have to do it better. The discipline will have to be there. The fundamentals will have to be better. And so, yeah, I think you always understand the scoreboard never tells the entire story. There's always context behind it. And that's why you watch the film. That's why you grade them hard. And so, yeah, we were very – we're not afraid to be complimentary with our guys where they did well, but also we were very critical of them, in our game review yesterday of the things that, have to be better and need to get better this week. And there's a lot of them on both sides of the ball.
Coach, I was very impressed with Jaden Maiava's poise and command of the offense on Saturday. You could tell that he really progressed this offseason. After watching the tape back, how would you evaluate your quarterback's performance?
He played well. He did. He was he was steady. He saw the field well. He really didn't have a bad decision all day. Yeah. He never took care of the ball. Made a lot of plays. Had a couple out there that we left out there, but he just made a lot of very steady plays for us. And I think even the first play of the game was cool to see. We gave up a little bit of a pressure there. He just kind of calmly gets out of the pocket, makes a nice, smooth, easy completion, and we were off and running from there. So he did a good job managing the group, and he did a good job leading the group too on the sideline. Was just very, very vocal, very into it. Just, I know we described it for you guys, but I think everybody saw looks. You could tell he's been in it now.
Yeah,
and
100%.
And that's obviously how we want him to look and how we want him to progress.
You're listening to the head coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live, and you got a whole half because of the way the game worked out to take a look at your freshman quarterback. Who knows how much he'll play throughout the season. So what do you want him to take away from really that large chunk of time where he got to get his feet wet?
Yeah, it's great to have your second guy be able to get some of those reps when he's never done it before. And I think he was obviously excited to play, and I thought he handled it well. I think there's a few times where he's going to have to just settle in a little bit more. But you see the arm talent, you see obviously the athleticism was on display a couple different times, and I think as he goes forward, just like Jaden last year and all the other guys we've had kind of at the beginning of their careers. I can remember Caleb in the beginning where it was a little helter-skelter at first, and it just kind of started to settle down, and so that'll that'll be the progression, and I think the part for Hassan that we'll continue to push on. But there's nothing like getting that first one out of the way and having some success, and guys made some plays around him.
Wasn't ready for the physicality. Is that part of his game you wanted to use, or we're gonna start tailing that one back a little bit as you throwing it in there?
You always wonder about it because obviously they're in gold jerseys during practice.
Mm-hmm.
So as you guys know, quarterbacks don't get hit very often in practice. So you're always kind of wondering, what's it going to be like when a guy takes off in a game? So, yeah, I mean, I think it was good to see that there was no hesitation, like that if he needs to go, he'll go. And a couple of times that he really pushed it, it was, some key third downs where, wanted to stay on the field. And so, he's got to learn to not be reckless and pick his spots. But, yeah, it's good to see a guy not only that can run, but also that'll finish plays as well.
Coach, you mentioned last week that you'd be disappointed if this wasn't the best running back room that you've had here since you've been here at USC, and I think everyone can see why now after Saturday. What impressed you the most about that unit?
Oh, I mean, I would say, probably the explosive plays that we created and both the run and the pass game. We were really effective there. We broke tackles. You saw a little bit, of, Wayman's, wiggle and the ability to make people miss. Able to see, Eli take off, obviously, on the screenplay and create some big plays in the run game as well. I told you guys King Miller hits a long run every day. So, so he got that one done. Brian came in and ran really tough and physical for us, had the first or one of the early touchdowns. So, yeah, it was a good group. It was a good day for the groups. Good to see all four of them be productive. And like I said after the game, we're gonna need all those guys. Yeah. But I like the four skill sets in there.
On the defensive side of the ball, how open is the cornerback position right now? It seemed like you guys were in a heavy rotation. You also have some guys banged up, I think, that you hope to get back at some point. Where does that stand, coming out of camp and I guess after game one?
Yeah, I mean, I think DeCarlos has I would say, established himself as a guy that's, going to be on the field for us. He's played well. I think he's been our most consistent corner throughout camp. And did some really good things the other day. DJ Harvey's done some really good things. We thought both Conley and Marcellus Williams came in the game and did well, so it was good to see those guys jump in there and perform. We should get Chasen Johnson back hopefully this week, which would be great to get him rolling because I know he can certainly help us as well. So, yeah, we obviously looked at some different lineups. We were able to play some different guys out there, which was great. And, I think – kind of like the running back room, like we're going to need all those guys. Yeah. Like we're going to need them. And so how the depth chart shakes out, I think will largely be dependent on just really how these guys perform going forward. But it was good to see some of the young guys get in there and play well. And like I said, hopefully we can get Chasen back and throw him into the mix, and we should have a pretty deep group after that.
How about the two fronts, Coach? Offensive line, defensive line wise, you were a little flexible with the offensive line during the game. You shuffled some guys in and out. Defensive line wise, I thought the ends really stood out, made some plays. What'd you think of those two groups?
Yeah, we did a pretty good job controlling the run game defensively. Got some pressure. The big deal, I know we've talked a lot, coming into this season, out of the offseason was, the ability to pressure and affect the quarterback with 3- and 4-man rushes. We were able to do that some. So, the ends were all impactful, had some really impactful plays. And we didn't have a ton of huge plays. We had a few huge plays inside. I mean, Jade had a sack. Tompkins had a couple of really, really big plays. Jaw had a big play. We created some explosive plays, but we plugged stuff up pretty good inside. We were controlling gaps and really minimizing space, which was good. O-line, I thought the first O-line played pretty good. There's a few run plays that we definitely need to be more clean in. We protected for the majority of the day. We protected pretty well. And some of the young guys came in and did well on the young O-line. We played some different lineups there, moved some guys around position-wise. And so, yeah, I think there was enough to get you excited, but enough that we certainly got to get back to work too.
Coach, speaking of some of the young guys, and I hate to bring it up, but I feel like the entire Coliseum and Trojan fans around the country were yelling at Garrett Pomerantz to just please go left. You
go
had
left, baby.
100 yards of real estate to the left, but he went right. I was wondering if you guys got a chance to watch that in film. What was the reaction from the team? Did he hear from everybody?
He did, but I think everybody – he's like one of the most beloved players in the program, so I think everybody was – they gave him a little bit of a hard time for not housing it.
Yeah.
But – I think obviously him getting the turnover and kind of having that moment in his first game action was obviously really, really cool. So yeah, that team was, I would say it was like more genuine excitement and happiness for him, and then just a little bit of ribbing on the side.
I mean, the pick six would have been awesome, but it's almost an even better story now that you ran to the one guy that could have tackled you. I mean, you had everywhere to go. Did he say the ref?
Who was a quarterback?
Yeah,
as well?
exactly.
Yeah,
Who was a
yeah,
quarterback?
yeah.
Did Yogi Roth tried to say that the ref was the reason that he didn't go that way? Did he make that excuse, or he had nothing?
You know what? We'll stick with that story.
Yeah, there we go.
Sounds better.
The ref threw him off. That's funny.
Game 1 is in the books. Game 2 is coming up on Saturday. USC versus Georgia Southern. Same kick time, 4:30. Trojan Tailgate Show will go on at 2:30. This game is on FS1, and it's presented by United Airlines. And if you're ready to take it to the next level, unleash the beast this college tailgate season with Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. We'll talk to Coach about Game 2 coming up on Trojans Live.
Tonga Resort Casino.
And it is Trojans Live on this Monday, September 1st. Happy Labor Day. Celebrating the win Saturday at the Coliseum to open up the season.
Longstreet, hands off to Miller, changes directions, goes straight up the middle and gets away. Still on his feet at the 50. It's a race to the end zone. They're trying to cut him off at the 30, at the 20, 10, 5. Touchdown. Touchdown, USC. King Miller, 75 yards. How do you do?
We continue with head coach Lincoln Riley right now on Trojans Live. Once again, your host, here's Jordan Moore.
Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. And hey, Trojan fans, did you know the Ralph's app gives you easy access to weekly sales and personalized coupons? You can earn fuel points too. Check out the app today and save while you cheer us on to another great season. Ralph's a proud partner of USC Athletics. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler, and the head coach Lincoln Riley kindly joining us for a second segment as we get into Georgia Southern, and I'm sure some other topics as well. But as we know well around here, the head coach at Georgia Southern is sort of your predecessor in Clay Helton. Do you know Clay at all? I guess was my only question. I mean, obviously we all know him pretty well.
Yeah, I've met him a few times on the recruiting trail when he was at SC and I was at OU, and then honestly I've got to spend the most time with him. We do a big coaches charity tournament out at Pebble Beach in May every year. It's a really cool cause. It's been going on for a long time. Dick Tomey was one of the original kind of founders of this tournament. But anyways, Clay goes out there with a group from Georgia Southern, and I've been able to go the last couple of years. So I've actually got to spend a lot of time with him there. Yeah, he's fantastic. I mean, just awesome human being, awesome coach. We've had some great chats, being able to talk about just some different things, crossover during our times, talking ball, certainly talking about SC, but he's been great. Really have enjoyed getting to know him and his wife and being able to spend some time with him.
Yeah, Georgia Southern took a tough loss over the weekend. Fresno State. What do you see from them? They're staying on the West Coast, just traveling down for the game. What do you see from their squad?
Yeah, they are. They're doing the long West Coast trip and going to stay out here, which certainly makes sense for them. I mean they were right in it. Obviously, I think we're leading at half. We're playing really well. Fresno got a couple big plays on them there in the second half and got some momentum and separated a little bit. But no, they're a tough physical team. I mean, you could see that on tape. I mean, they return quite a few players, especially on the defense, and they've got some guys that can pop. So they're very creative offensively. Tried to do a lot of things. Compare them. I mean, there's some similarities to even like maybe a Penn State, where a lot of different eye candy, a lot of kind of unique formations, and try to really challenge you from a responsibility and an eye discipline standpoint. So we'll have to do a really, really good job there. But yeah, no, excited to welcome him in. It'll be great to have Clay back in the Coliseum, and we'll look forward to seeing those guys on Saturday.
Coach, you started the game in 12 personnel on Saturday, or a two tight end look with Walker Lyons and Lake McCree. Was that game specific, or is that something that you want to make a point of emphasis this year to get the tight ends more involved in this offense?
Well, we'll see how it evolves throughout the year. I do think getting that room better has been a point of emphasis since we got here.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably one of just the weaker rooms that we inherited a few years ago, just in terms of just the depth and talent and where we want to be. And so, we've worked hard to overhaul that room in a lot of ways and add more talent, depth, scholarship numbers. I mean, everything to it. Love playing with great tight ends. So, it's good to see those guys get involved and be able to do some different things for us. But we've got some decisions to make. I mean, we've got obviously we talked about the backfield already. You can make a lot of argument to playing those guys a bunch. We feel good about some of these receivers and then feel good about the tight end room. So it'll be, some fun decisions each week on how we're going to play.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live. Coach, I was looking at the opening depth chart, and what really stood out to me was how many of the guys at the top are homegrown players now in year 4. It felt like in the last couple of years, if you brought in a transfer, you were plugging holes right at the top. They were going to be your guy right away. And now, by my count, you have an or at one position. It's like 3.5 transfers at the top. And you're still counting on transfers, and you've got them working in at depth in different positions. But what does it say about the development of this program that now you're having these guys that are starting to grow up and being the guys? When you look at, Sean mentioned that the defensive line, those are the homegrown guys that are sort of holding off some guys that you brought in.
Yeah, I think one way we've kind of verbalized it in our program is like we're kind of fully in phase 2 now.
Yeah.
And then I think where we want to be in terms of bringing guys in, developing guys, obviously doing a great job, recruiting this area, and then cherry picking from some of the different areas in the country because of the national brand that we are, and then using the portal, only when we feel like there's an absolute need there that we need to go get, and that's what we want to be long term. You can feel that. You can feel that with the depth. I think you can feel it with, like you said, just a number of just guys that aren't new faces that have been in the program and not just developing as a player and not just developing within, a defensive system or our offensive system, but too just within just the culture, right? Just within understanding SC and understanding what we're building here, why it is so important to the school, the state, really the country. And so the more guys you have like that, the better that locker room's going to be, the better the mentality, the edginess, the toughness, the pride in the program and the history of this place, the better all that gets. And that matters everywhere, but a place like this, it really matters.
Coach, Labor Day, and that means barbecuing. I know we have talked about your world-famous barbecuing skills. Will those be on display today? You got a full schedule, I'm sure, but you got to mix in some good barbecuing on Labor Day.
I wish. I'm gonna let you guys handle it for me today. So yeah, this is we're right now for us holidays, all that. It's they're a little irrelevant right now. We're in the middle.
I'll hold you down on the
You got
all Sean Cody on that one.
Thank you, Sean.
Big Asada guy. We'll get it going.
Appreciate you taking the time. We know there's no holidays around here right now. Coach is coming up and lead his team out against Georgia Southern on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. That game is presented by United Airlines. Trojan Tailgate show to go on at 2:30. Stone IPA, Sean maybe has one of these in mind this afternoon. Inspired by a generation of brewers and beer lovers, made in Southern California, Stone Brewing's first anniversary ale continues to be today's iconic West Coast style IPA. Crisp, light-bodied, and packed with hoppy flavor. Located at fine.stonebrewing.com. Well, we talked about the playmaking that was on display on Saturday. On the defensive side, Bishop Fitzgerald, how about that for a debut? Little pick 6 in the Collie. He's next on Trojans Live.